Welcome to the Managing the Smart Mind podcast with your host, Coach Kramer. This is episode 75. No, you're not too much or too intense. Hello, smart human. This week we look at what happens when you bump up against people who aren't used to your way of being in the world. If you've been told you're too much or you're so intense or to dial it down a bit, then this podcast episode is for you. And first of all, let's get something very clear. If someone remarks on your way of being, what they're actually remarking on is how their thoughts about your way of being in the world make them feel. Let's say that again. Right? If someone remarks on your way of being, if they say stuff like you're too much or you're too intense, what they're actually remarking on is how their thoughts about you make them feel. Because they have a reference frame, a belief system, a history that makes them look at the world through a certain lens. We all do. Let's say my lenses are Elsa colored lenses and Dolly has Dolly tinted lenses. And Deepak has Deepak tinted lenses and so on, right? You get the picture. So when someone tells you, you're too intense, what they're actually saying is something like, well, when I view you through my lens, you come over as intense in a way that makes me very uncomfortable. Now, if you're thinking, this is so much wordplay. No. This is massively important. First of all, because there are so many smart people out there hiding who they are and dumbing down. Secondly, because there's no such thing as being too intense or too much. Too much for what? For whom? In what context? Right? No. Apparently, there's a person who, in a specific situation, feels uncomfortable about the way you manifest yourself. Good to know. Do not make this mean that something about you is wrong. You may have done so in the past. This may even be the reason that you only show up as 50% of yourself, which is a damn shame because there's nothing wrong with you. Again, some people may have thoughts about you that make them uncomfortable in some situations. Would it be better if they didn't? Maybe. It would definitely be easier. But the fact is, they do. And listen, my way of being tends to infuriate some people. Even the fact that I talk about people being smart actually makes people mad. I get messages saying, how dare you? That's so discriminatory. And I remember in university in London, there was a girl in my halls of residence who couldn't stand the sight of me. I drove her nuts, right? Something about me just infuriated her. I didn't even know her. I've had the same effect on teachers in the past. Not all teachers, but maybe a handful. Apparently, there are people who, in certain situations, have thoughts about me that make them mad or angry or frustrated or whatever it is they're going through. Would my life be easier if this wasn't the case? Oh yeah, probably. Does this mean I need to try and not upset people? Well, my mother tried to teach me, yes, that was my one job, right? To go out of my way to be less upsetting. And you may have been told the same by your parents, your teachers, people who care for you, because they were worried for you, right? But does this mean I need to tone myself down? No, absolutely not. I am not too much. I am not too intense. I am not infuriating. Their thoughts about me are too much and infuriating. Now, of course, I cannot force them to change their thoughts about me, which I'll admit sometimes this is frustrating, but this is a good thing because if we could change other people's thoughts, that'd be a whole nother mess. So my job and the thing I can control is to learn to be okay with them not being okay around the way I am and the way I show up. My job is not to make them feel okay. My job, again, is to learn to be okay with them not being okay about me. Right? It's tricky. And our instinct, because we're humans and we want to belong and we want everybody to feel good. Our instinct is to make everybody feel okay. But trust me, it doesn't work. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, well, can't you just be a little bit more forthcoming, right? It doesn't hurt to be kind. Does it hurt that much to tone it down a bit? And then I'll say again, context is massively important here. So I'm assuming you're not being intentionally hurtful, right? Let's say maybe you were a bit blunt without realizing it. You upset someone. In that case, you may want to reconsider your wording next time and learn from it. But if someone gets upset simply because you're being your smart self, why would you consider toning it down? Do you expect other people to smarten up so you can feel better? Of course you don't. That'd be ridiculous, right? You try to be a decent human being and understand where other people are coming from. So it's fair to expect them to do the same. They can, for example, get curious and maybe even marvel at your perceived alien intensity or, weird interests. Or, this is kind of next level, they can get curious about what it is in them that you're triggering and how they could possibly heal that. But if they're not willing to look at their thoughts and their perceptions, why should you be the one to adapt your behavior? And yes, of course, sometimes you may strategically want to downplay your strengths. If you're going to be in a meeting and you know that if you say the thing you're thinking, or if you're at a family reunion and you know that if you say the thing you see, that's going to upset a lot of people and not be very constructive, maybe you want to zip it. That's a whole other discussion. It's incredibly harmful to ask yourself to shrink, to fit in the tiny space that others want you to fit in so they can be comfortable for a prolonged period of time. It can cause depression, so many things, even health problems. Because basically, you don't get to live as the amazing human being you are. So I want you to check in with yourself and ask, where am I playing small so other people can be okay? Where am I shutting myself down so other people can be okay? Where am I not speaking up so other people can be okay? And where am I hiding my light so other people can be okay? Start noticing. And notice how you're trying to kind of mold yourself all the time into something that makes other people feel okay. Not you, other people. Well, listen up. You are not Barba Papa. Okay, you're probably too young to know who Barba Papa is, but you can Google it. Okay, I'm sure there's something on YouTube. You need to be your glorious self so you can be okay. So I want you to think of 3 ways in which you can step into that over the coming week and start sharing your glorious intensity with the world. Have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.